Drake perhaps in the past, in the future.
It's so hard.
We could have still been casting the game. It could still be going now. But instead, we're in game number 2. We'll see whether T1 can bring this one back as DK, once again, on the red side. And we have similar bans thus far. In fact, no changes whatsoever. Varus and Caitlyn, both of them immediately locked away. And so Nami first pick to come in yet again, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I could imagine D plus Kia probably going to look at a similar thing.
I don't mind a run back.
I would like the Yuumi Lucian to be locked in, but not going to be the case this time around. I guess, you know, the Zumi's cooldown doesn't mean, that means that you don't get as much value.
It back, Atlas.
I think everyone's kind of okay with the exact same game being replayed again.
I personally love Vi. I actually do think that Vi into specifically will be Zeri Yuumi. Very, very valuable.
Denting Blow is also pretty good against the tankiness of Sejuani. I like it.
It's a 2-for-1 deal.
I know. Beautiful.
The Zeri, you know, and maybe you get a free Yuumi for your efforts as well as, unsurprisingly, we are going to have very similar now.
Siva?
In terms of pick potential, no, I'm not on board. In terms of pick potential, I really like the Vi. And we might also see, as a result of this, Faker pivot away to something that has more proactivity. Azir and Vi is still pretty decent, but there's a couple of champions. Ahri comes to mind, but even something like Lissandra in the right matchup, I do think really pushes that 2v2 over the edge and allows you to get very, very aggressive with it as Jace gonna get taken away here, and I would not be shocked if D+ just lock in R4 Nara again if T1 don't ban it, because we had our question marks, but all things considered, Kana is not the point. Top lane in general is not the point, because the meta right now is not about top lane even remotely, but making sure that you can again let Showmaker react with his Y champion pool and just throw Kana on tank/soak duty, I think is completely fine.
Well, Renekton would need to be banned here to even things out, and instead, it will be the Gnar. So
now they are for Renekton, right?
Well, I mean, now T1 needs to not ban one of K'Sante or Renekton, otherwise D plus Kia gets the one of them that they don't ban. So the Talia will be the ban away this time around. I really like that adaptation from T1. I think Showmaker played fantastically, but also Talia just makes living your life as a Lucian feel awful. Vi also would be having a real rough time. So K'Sante will get through. That looks to be Kanna's choice here as they save that counter pick for Showmaker once again.
And for T1, gonna be blinding mid again. Azir, Vi, not necessarily the best 2v2, but blinding a lot of the picks that are quite strong with the Vi can be scary. Into Showmaker, as mentioned previously, very happy to pick up weird stuff.
Is it an Ahri game?
Well, that's what I was mentioning earlier, and
no,
it is not. It is an Azir game, and T1 seemingly going to remain with what has worked for them thus far. Vi being the major swap out. Now, obviously, we're not going to see the Yone again. Jax is one of the answers into K'Sante, doesn't have the greatest early matchup, and Fiora would be another. Camille, in terms of setup with the Vi, I love, but I do think you can run into some troubles into whatever Showmaker is going to pick up here. Yuumi also somewhat obnoxious to play into. And instead it's going to be Jax, who early on doesn't have the best matchup into K'Sante, but definitely outskills him inside very, very reliably. Also strong together with the Vi for early fights.
This would be the aggressive choice, also the lane choice. Silas would be the team fight choice for Showmaker here, but it's Akali that's picked up. Oh my goodness. Some of the most famous Showmaker plays were in fact on this Akali, fresh off a rework a few years ago. And melee champions, you know, Showmaker, Chovy, definitely two players that absolutely love this. The Permafrost synergy also far better this time around for D+.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go into, because Canyon was MVP, 11 out of 11, ran the early game, and that was, sure, mostly bot side focused, but also without really anyone enabling him unless Permafrost. Now, with both K'Sante and the Akali mid-game skirmishers are absolutely lethal for this team. And the early game to me is the point that T1 has got to change up, because even with how well they played the mid-game, if they get into the mid-game on even footing. I think they can even build their lead further. We see the explosiveness that this team is capable of. This draft definitely does enable this. Still has a lot of late-game answers.
Cool. Let us know in chat whether you've got a Terror Electric Psyduck, which would be the Zeus Pokemon. Absolutely fantastic stuff there. Glad to see some more Psyducks being used for the Zeus fandom in the audience here in Lol Park. I put you off, didn't I?
No, I was actually giving you space because I was expecting you to go on longer about Psyduck.
I don't think we need to do that.
I know Psyduck, obviously. I'm well acquainted, but you generally go a little bit further when it comes to your you're sharing your knowledge of Pokemon. But looking at these drafts, T1 still very strong 1-3-1, can team fight, great pick potential, and on the side of D plus Kia, do think that they're skirmishing. If they can get good setup, it's very, very strong. We saw the power of Unizeri last game.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether it's going to work this time around as well, or whether we get those 3 games. Let's do it. All right, T1 fans definitely at full voice here at Lol Park today, but D plus Kia certainly have their fair share of fans as well. Especially, and we've spoken about this at length, but with Deft coming to the team,
it helps.
It certainly does help. I also want to return to, you know, some of the news that we had when Deft was first announced for D plus Kia. It was actually Canyon that sort of invited him onto the team. And we could see already, like, you take that Baron Smite, for example, that synergy between the 2 players is kind of already there, which is something that I've seen a lot of people mentioning online and things like that. It's just really, really cool to see, and we'll see whether that continues here in Game 2.
It's also for Showmaker and Canyon the first time that they... Oh, hold up.
Yeah, just going to walk straight in there. They knew, as Keria down to about 300. Kellen bopping and blocking, having a great time. And this early game working out real well. As was that some spamming from Deft? Of course, Deft and Keria, very good friends. And so probably in pretty good faith here.
Really nicely done there. Both teams aware of where the wards were, so DK playing around vision and able to get a lot as Keria just healing.
Yeah.
For the wave control. Oh.
I kind of respect it. As Zeus is just walking at Canna here. Presses Counter-Strike, and Canna struggles a little bit in the engage. Missing that 3rd Q, going to be a little bit sad. As Kasante,
look at that.
Decent win rate.
See that? 2 wins on Dundun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got
and in fact,
POG on that as well.
I mean, all jokes aside, I think that his was the most impressive, actually. His Kasante performance yesterday was pretty out of control.
Both styling on his lane opponents and
being Dundun at the same time.
And being Dundun, and also the mental, as every team that faces Longship. Bit of a struggle afterwards. As looking at what we have in terms of early game here, it is somewhat reminiscent, this Canyon. Say hello.
Showmaker just going to try and push Faker out of this lane. Of course, the amount of control that Faker has is definitely very high. As Canyon doesn't make it over the wall. That was an interesting interaction there. As Showmaker just backflipped over just to see what was going on. Oner gets over the wall, doesn't find the Vault Breaker damage. As Permafrost, Winter's Wrath, Canyon absolutely fine right now. As Gumayusi dashing forward yet again. Deft gets the zoomies. Keria going to have to deal with that prowling projectile damage. And just some biffo towards the bottom side. Nothing happening just yet. And we'll see whether these junglers can change up how this lane is going to eventuate.
And what I originally wanted to get into when we were distracted by the level 1 shenanigans here in this bot lane is that in all that time, Canyon and Showmaker never have played with a truly elite level AD carry. We've said Ghost at his heyday was still very serviceable, right? Very good weak side player, really worked for what that team wanted to do.
Yeah.
But even with Dokdon last year, who had an incredible split on Nongshim, he really didn't fulfill that role as Zeus.
All right, let's see whether Canna can find it. He does not whatsoever, but still, Zeus could be in trouble here as, oh, Arctic Assault's going to miss. So never mind. Zeus just walks it out. Sometimes the Jax walks a bit faster than you expect, you know?
Cool Kids never sidestep. Just keep walking. In case you're wondering, Cool Kids never panic is the Live Sandbox slogan, and I love it. And I'm going to try ham-fisted into as many different ways as I can.
Well, they don't panic, and they haven't yet. We'll see whether they do against Brion, the greatest test here in the LCK.
Zeus didn't panic, so by definition,
yeah,
he is now a cool kid.
He is now a cool kid. Can confirm. I do like what you were talking about with D+Keria never really having that Elite 80 carry. Also, when they won with Ghost, it was in a very top-mid meta, as we're going to have to hold that thought yet again. This Arctic Assault is going to land. Showmaker looks for a few 5-point strikes. Faker is going to be absolutely fine for now. Backflip connects. This wave very, very large, though, so Showmaker not going to go too aggressive on it. We're just going to have the game go down to a little bit more of a slower pace where we get to finally talk about these changes that we were talking about.
Well, before we do that, one more point, very quickly. Oner actually able to, thanks to that gank from Canyon, or more so trying to really pressure Showmaker, who was getting bullied by Faker. As a result, got found out by Oner. Oner actually taking a fair amount of bot side jungle camps, and now as a result is ahead in the matchup. Unlike in the previous game where Canyon was both able to farm and then was still able to get ahead and was still able to have a bigger impact on the map. Now Oner will have a pretty sizable lead as he clears his bot side jungle. So well done by the T1 jungler after a rough first game. And back to you, Atlas.
All right, and so what we were talking about was when Damwon Kia at the time managed to win in 2020. It was with Ghost, as I'm going to have to hold the thought again. Deft has to use barrier. Taken down extraordinarily low as Zeus brought under the turret. Canyon's back again. Let's see whether Arctic Assault's going to land. It is. It gets the flash this time. D+Keria get a successful gank. Level 6 gained here by Canna, but now Deft and Kellen will be in a lot of trouble. Oner's moving down. D+Keria, they know exactly what's going on here.
Showmaker's on his way.
Yeah.
He's running.
He's going to have to get here fast. The interruption on the back there from Zeus, who's now going to start the fight onto Canyon. Blast cones to get his way out. Going to eat some honey fruit, and this might be able to help him in the 1v1. Permafrost going to come through as there is the ult back. That was very weird. Don't know what happened really. We're going to continue the weirdness underneath this turret towards the bottom side. Gumayusi taking a lot of damage, but they're going to successfully get the dive off against the Zeri. 1-for-1, I guess. Cross the map.
Yeah. Don't know if it had to be. With Zeus maybe overestimating his safety there, gets pulled out of his leap strike by Kana, and felt like there were angles for him there. Obviously his back gets interrupted. Is very strong, and also might be a miscommunication here. Faker currently catching a wave underneath his turret, but yeah, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if Zeus thought that he could at the very least just get out of here safely, but
just pull back with the...
yeah, of course, he got interrupted, but even if you finish that leap strike, I think you might still be in trouble. And he is buying a lot of time, but this play on the bottom half of the map was already set up regardless, so will be the kill going over to Keria. Not the best, although a nearly mandate finish you're still going to take, but obviously, ideally, you'd get that kill on Guma.
Yep, this stage of the game, you're probably kind of okay with it because that mandate spike for Guma is also really, really high.
It's not the end of the world.
No. But still, would prefer that money on the Lucian as Keria coming on forward, getting some vision down so that T1 can secure the first dragon of the game. No Cloud Souls. I'm personally quite sad. Everybody else probably pretty happy. As Gumayusi clearing out waves under here. Showmaker sort of out of the woods, kind of, with how this matchup goes. See how he's going to be able to play it out as Deft and Kellen down here just trying to take some control back, and they will be able to do so with the fact that Showmaker gets inside track in this mid lane. Canyon also going to secure first Herald yet again. T1 not quite finding the pace this game that they've had in previous ones, with that dragon being delayed.
However, due to the early ganks from Canyon kind of being more centered around mid lane, and Guma and Keria this time around not really getting into trouble early on, we do see the more conventional Lucianami versus Zeri Yumi type of lane where they're continuously getting shoved in, they're dropping a lot of plates, also a lot of effort goes over to Oner there, who of course with his dive is able to get a lot done as Oh, we're going to contest.
Yeah, Canyon, let's see whether he can survive this one. He does get in there, but Oner is going to lock that one down. Devi immediately goes down, though. It's a double kill for the Zeri, and Showmaker, the perfect execution's fantastic. Canyon limps away with his life intact, and it's a triple kill. What were you saying about the bottom lane again?
Well, both bottom lane and top lane are a disaster, so never mind, I guess.
Wait, Canna got a solo kill in that? What?
Yeah. As I pointed out, Jackson to Cassante works if you get to the later stage of the game, but early on, Cassante is going to kind of dunk on you, and key thing here is that Oner already gets taken so low, so this is a 3 versus 4 right from the get-go. T1 takes too much damage from the Baron.
In the meantime, in the mid lane, Oner is just going to kill Canyon, I guess. Now Keria is flashing on top, and it's a double kill. So Oner's redeemed as well. Back to you, Chronicler.
Okay, so,
never mind, back to me. Deft's gonna come in and see whether he can get a steal on this Rift Scuttler.
Get him, Deft.
All right, he's gonna go for it, and it's not gonna happen. Oner secures it. There we go. Back to you, Chronicler.
So, all things considered, we are now looking a little bit closer in terms of T1's position, because obviously what happened was a disaster. Zeus probably just gonna, oh no, not even. Kana just flashing in proactively, recognizing that the Counter-Strike didn't get enough done, and then running Zeus down.
Cassante things.
Yeah, nicely done. He has a big lead, right? So already at that point a kill up, as then Canyon just drops a turret in mid, seemingly unaware of where Oner is, and Oner just comes in, Qs, and with that lower health bar, that is definitely a big risk. Keria also flashing to make sure he can get the speed up and or slow. I guess both, not and or.
Yeah.
But even just the speed up would have been enough there to secure a kill, and it's a little bit better as, Guma.
Yeah, I think that might be a dead Gumayusi. He's gonna dash and try and get out of the way of this one, but the final chapter's there. It's a drive-by from Kellen, and now Keria is not going to be super safe, but Oner is in the area. Looks like D plus Kia are not going to overstay their welcome, even if it is a 3 versus 2. It's once again a bit of a battle between these top laners. Zeus still fighting, and isn't behind by too much CS necessarily. Still a dire situation.
Not a look that we're used to seeing from T1, right? Them actually taking such a beating. Zeus individually not looking as hot as he has in the past. Guma and Keria actually getting taken down.
I've seen this one before, but the Q is going to miss this time around. And think about the level of catharsis here for Canna. Remember, he was the one replaced by Zeus on this exact T1 roster, right? Like, this must feel fantastic to get some revenge. And after his time on Nongshim, where everyone was like, oh, it was the greatest move from T1. During that whole year, this must feel really good to finally have a good game against the young player. And this is, of course, not saying that there's anything wrong with how Zeus has been playing. It just must have felt a little bit rough to be Canna last year, and this must feel fantastic.
Yeah, as we are again looking at... Okay, Atlas, how many times are we going to see this seesaw? Like,
well, I don't know. I think it's as long as we're watching this matchup, that's how it's going to go. As Oner, a bit of damage here. Ward goes in, Prowling Projectile to slow down Oner. I like how Prowling Projectile is being nerfed so many times that it doesn't even look like a slow anymore.
Very
barely does anything.
Very balanced ability now. Yeah. Love Yuumi. She's
the rest of Yuumi entirely unbalanced, but that ability been hit with that ban a few times.
We see the question mark picks come down as well, but I think they're expecting it to be Callan and Deft. And unfortunately, Zeri can get over the wall in a moment's notice. Very ready for this, and Oner is in the vicinity as well, so you feel relatively safe there if you're the T1 bot lane. Fortunately for Zeus, he has now finished his Divine Sunderer, which is going to help him out a lot, but with the state of top lane as it is right now, I don't expect that he will be able to actually try and match and really get anything on Canna until he gets to the very least a second item. That's going to be quite far away. So maybe some attention from Oner would help. Trying to get Cassante is a relatively fruitless endeavor.
It is.
Generally. So I'm not going to feel too good about that one, as we have a lot of relevant Drakes. The only one that you don't really want to roll would be the Hex, or the Chemtech rather. Everything else, if you're either team here, you're going to love.
Yep, you're feeling pretty good about it. Let's see, 10 seconds, and then we have the Ocean Drake available. be able to get word on exactly what it's going to be. Zeus gets himself a plate. Will tank a bit of damage here. It's T1 looking to go for Dragon number 2. We'll see who's going to be able to win this fight. Gold entirely even. The whole game kind of hinging on the next battle between these teams as far as who's going to have that first mover's advantage moving into the mid game.
And even though Deft is in a great position in this game in terms of already having his shield bow, Gilfor's mandate rather is done. And I wouldn't be too surprised if D+ try to go for a cross-map trade here as opposed to trying to actually hard force a fight, because unless Showmaker immediately gets backline access and blows Guma up, I think he can run into some risks. But no, I was wrong. D+ are looking.
Yeah, they're looking at cake and eating it too, as it is going to be a Mountain Drake as well. That's going to be absolutely massive, honestly, for either side here. But Casante's licking his lips, looking at a potential Mountain Soul. Both teams capable of picking up 3 of those Drakes. Scary times. The next few Dragon fights are actually going to be very important this game.
Really is, because we have double Radiant Virtue users. We have Casante, who obviously skills off of tank stats. We have a Jax, who also, if he is able to, in addition to the damage that he's able to output, get even more beef, he will be a very tough opponent to deal with. As there we see, that's another one. I'm sure we're going to go back up and down a few more times. As vision control for T1 was great there, allowing them to be aware of D+'s key attempt to still try and contest for the objective, while picking themselves up the Rift Herald. Then if they can open up mid and start maybe setting up some kills around Guma and Keria, who right now are very strong. Mid Cryo is really hard to contest for D+ for the foreseeable future, so could be a little bit harder to play around any of these objectives. But I am also worried that we might just not have anything happen for the next 3.5 minutes, because that's when the next Dragon will come up.
Yep, that's going to be the important time. Of course, it's 4 minutes away from T1 starting off any Barons, which is, of course, their favorite thing to do. So we're just going to have to bide our time for a moment. So maybe do you think that I could go back to the story that I started about 15 minutes ago? Or that you started that I wanted to continue?
Please continue.
Okay, so we were talking about when Keria at the time managed to win Worlds, and it was during a topside meta where Noguri and Showmaker could have just the greatest time ever. Ghost was really good at playing utility, and that was really... Okay, never mind. I'm going to hold that thought as immediately the Nami just explodes. Keria turned into fish food here as the permafrost comes down. Oner in trouble as well. Showmaker collects that one. Perfect execution. Now going to be available as Canyon's diving on in. He wanted to tank that to see whether Showmaker could grab the kill, but instead he holds on to the ultimate, and they will just walk away with the 3 kills. I should start that story more often, so that we can just get action any time we want.
Craziest thing is that overall, this turn will go to D+ Kia. They will gain a considerable amount of control over the mid game, but because the wave was dropped on bot side, D+ Kia doesn't build up as much of a gold lead as you might expect of a play like that. As I am wondering how that play, how that continues. That was a cliffhanger if I've ever seen one. As very straightforward, Keria walking into unboarded territory, gets blown up immediately, and this decisiveness from D+ as hold up.
Yeah, there's
being channeled.
I'm trying to watch it as we see this, and then it was Showmaker holding off. Now we've got another battle in this mid lane. Let's see whether this outer turret stays alive. Is Casante immediately going to go down? Canna just caught napping there a little bit. Now T1 looking to get Shirley another charge onto this inner turret. Yumi dashing over towards Deft here, but it looks like D+ Kia are going to be in trouble. Jet Set Radio Future to get Deft out of there. And Sundisk is going to be put up. So now, the world's smallest ARAM in this mid lane. And it looks like this inner turret's going to be given up. T1 really good and dominant play to just capitalize off Canna being a little slow.
Really feels like one team, one player walks up and dies, and then they push 2 turrets. And then the other team, one player walks up, dies, and they take turrets. And this is just going to be swinging left and right until one of the teams makes a crucial mistake around a Baron. As look at that.
Yeah, heart monitor, seriously. And there are a lot of, I know, all of us have a lot of adrenaline running through our bodies right now, because I could imagine that there is not a single person that doesn't want this to go 3 games. We just want as many games as possible. T1 currently in the lead, but D+ Kia have just been they've been better than I was expecting today. I'm not going to lie. I do have very high expectations and hopes for this team, but to beat T1 in their first matchup is not something that I personally put as highly likely on my bingo card, you know? Because I felt like they'd need the added time a lot more than what has felt like a well-oiled machine for quite some time now on the T1 side of things. One game away from being world champs last year, and it was Deft's miracle run that stood in their way. The amount of plot armor necessary to get through was too much. That this is still one of the most, if not the most, formidable team we have in the LCK.
I argue that a lot of what D+Keria is showing it today really points to... Oh, never mind, I might have cursed them. I was thinking about giving Canyon praise, so that already... that's on me. As very important Draker, even individual Mountain Drake can make a big difference in how close these fights are.
Absolutely. You can see Canyon diving forward. Try and make this one work out. Showmaker standing guard as well as there's the flash in! Canyon just doesn't want to waste any time. Keria now going to be able to flash away. Gets the tidal wave in but doesn't find any joy. Showmaker ultimate now on cooldown. For D+Keria, not a lot of buttons left to press. T1, I think, have managed to get control as Gumayusi diving towards Deft, who does dash over the wall. He'll be fine. But the Drake, not so much. And T1, they get what they're looking for.
Crucially, also a lot more cooldowns and summoners invested by D+Keria. Canyon, Showmaker both flashing there. Whereas for T1, only Keria has to invest his. And also not the end of the world, as this attempt from Canyon, I do think that T1 was very aware that it was coming. You see Guma very much finger at ready, because just at the moment he goes over, they place a blue ward. And as a result, they catch Keria. Not going to be enough. And then a lot of cooldowns are used trying to maybe bait something out of T1 with Showmaker going in there. Not actually working out. First Drake does go over to T1.
And I can't believe that this is all like this much intensity for a lone Mountain Drake that isn't even sole point. But that's just how important it is. That's how much these fights mean in this game. And T1, you might be looking at the kill score and you're like, oh, but they're behind. But they're not. They've got 3 turrets. They have a lot of gold. The map certainly starting to get under their control, especially at this stage of the game. They have split push win condition for Zeus. He's starting to get strong. Gumayusi really feeling it right now. Has his 2 items built up. And this is Lucian Nami time. This is their moment. Very happy with how this game is.
T1 just start up the Baron, and I would question it, and then it would work. But they don't, obviously. Going to play it a little bit safer here. Void Staff done for Faker is quite strong.
Yeah, wards everywhere right now, as once again, Canyon feels like he's found someone. Oner in a whole host of trouble. The final chapter comes in, but he's able to do a mini Vault Breaker, gets himself out. Flash had to be used as well. Showmaker going to get out of the way of this one. Last remaining outer turret is going to be taken here by T1 as well, further extending that gold lead.
And whereas most of the fights have been won by D+, the actual gold, as you already alluded to, due to how well they've been taking turrets, does go to T1. T1 overall has incredible siege. They can either go for a lot of side laning pressure, as you pointed out. Zeus is getting into a slowly better and better position. Now has a level lead on Kana as well. Kana really...
CS lead.
Yeah, we saw that Kana, even though he was able to get that solo kill, as, again, this matchup very Cassante favored early on, you need to then also turn it into teamfight prowess, and that's where Kana kind of faltered, unable to get some plays done. Got targeted down in mid, maybe feeling like he was a little bit too tanky, and now as a result, T1 have a lot more control on the map. They don't have to really take into account nearly as many turrets. Their outers are still standing as well. And until D+ pick up that standing gold, they will still remain behind. And with the dragon spawning in about 2 minutes, I think we're going to see some second item spikes come through as well. Perhaps Guma will even be able to finish his Lord Dominic's, which is going to be incredibly valuable into Cassante and Sejuani. And one of the issues that I think D+ has started to run into here that we're seeing is that their composition, unlike the previous game where you have a Taliyah who actually is a mid-range threat and a great deterrent, it's all short range. So as long as T1 tracks where the Sejuani is, that is the engage. Obviously, Showmaker can like dive in with a Yuumi and you can do some heroics there. But generally, what you're going to rely on is Canyon starts the fight, and then as long as you keep track of where Canyon is, like T1's turn is amazing. So we saw very well in the previous Dragon fight that they saw where Canyon was, absorbed the blow, and then their re-engage with Wave, with Azir, with Vi is incredible. So for D+, it is actually going to be very tough, I think, for them to find a great teamfight angle. If they do, if Kana gets a flank and smashes Faker or Guma into the rest of the team, right, or isolates them from the fight. If Canyon does hit an ultimate and Faker or Keria are not really ready to try and zone and protect, then that can buy Deft the space that he needs. Close to Infinity Edge as well, but I don't know. Should be able to get it before the Drake is done, but I don't know if he'll be able to get it and then get back to base in time for setup around this Mountain Drake. And at this point, with the damage that's available for both these teams, they can also just do Baron. So you also can't index too heavily on a Mountain Drake, because then you lose Nash, and that's very bad.
That is something that T1 will definitely take. If there's an opportunity to go to a Baron, they will take it.
Hey, even if there's no opportunity, they will try and take it.
Yeah, Deft with not quite enough money to finish off that Infinity Edge just yet. Needs a couple of $100 gold.
Ooh, that's big.
Before he gets there. And with 20 seconds to go, I don't think the Infinity Edge is going to be online.
Lord Doms is there for Guma. That's a big spike. Black Cleaver as well. Radiant Virtue done for Oner.
Yeah, and also massive amounts of mid control. They have the inner taken at the same time. And so D+Kia need to stay very close to their base. It's really hard to get out and try and defend this. So instead, they're going to give it up. They didn't get to those item spikes that we were talking about. And therefore, this Drake does not belong to them. So, Soul Point, Mountain Soul Point for T1. And the statistical advantage that comes with this this Mountain Drake as well, that they've picked up their second one of the game.
Almost 20% extra MR and armor that you're going to have here is so big, because if there are no Mountain Drakes in the game, the damage from champions like Cassante and Sejuani remains pretty relevant until like a later stage in the game, right? Where they actually have great base damage. Obviously, Cassante scaling off of MR and armor as well.
Yeah.
But if you're playing into a Mountain Drake, then the only damage that's going to be relevant is Showmaker and Deft. Deft, even though he has his IE, isn't anywhere near being able to build any form of armor penetration if that is the direction that he does want to go into. Showmaker also going Void second here to try and counteract the amount of resistances available for T1, but it also makes DK plus their, I think, preferred way of fighting, which is isolate target, blow them up, and then buy space. On the harder was Oner.
They're gonna have to flash out. Just didn't quite know the amount of bad guys in that area. Deft is gonna be able to lock down this red buff. So no flash to worry about here on the Vi, but that is the full extent of the good news for D+Kia. They are still trying to figure out how to win this game, because so far T1 have dictated the pace for the last 15 minutes or so, what it feels like. Well, Canyon getting into this Baron pit. A Baron would certainly be a great way to win the game. They're going to start it off. Okay, Oner in the area as we spoke about. They're going to try and get the teleport out from Zeus. He's hit level 16 on this Jax. He's absolutely huge, and T1 know exactly what's going on. No teleport to come forward just yet. For D+, they can tank this for an extraordinarily long time as the teleport is going to come forward. Zeus diving into the pit. The Glacial Prison goes completely wide, and Faker is traded for Canyon. The Baron secured by the Vi as they dive on top of this area and take her out. Showmaker, the next target to be taken down, and he's not going to be able to do anything here. Cassante falls, it's an ace, and T1 destroy D+Kia.
And this time around, D+ don't find the turn. Canyon's ultimate doesn't hit anyone. And I was with you, Atlas. Them getting the teleport in of itself was a win. But D+, I think maybe also recognizing that you gotta try and force T1 to make a mistake. Try and go for it anyway. Unable to do so, and game might not be over yet, but this is a lead of a different caliber than I think that we've seen thus far. Gonna be the inhibitor down, gonna be another inner here for T1. And
let's have a look at it again. As D plus Keria, they did have control of the pit. Maybe this is the time where you turn off the Baron.
it really is, you see the amount of damage that Gumayusi is able to do, right? Ultimate hits no one, and with Vi still alive, the turn here from T1 is so well done, right? Oner goes in for the ultimate, and immediately Guma dashes back in. Really well played here by the Lucian, recognizing the amount of space that he has available, because a lot of the cooldowns were already gone, a lot of the damage from D+ immediately taken out of the fight. And it makes the previous seesawing look a little silly.
Well, yeah, this gold lead is a very real one. And on top of that, this is T1 that now get to use this Baron to perfectly set up for Mountain Soul.
Yeah.
They already have most of the base of D+ Keria completely destroyed, so now the oppressive vision comes in.
Hey, Atlas, you know what that means?
What does it mean?
Free games.
I know. It's exactly what we wanted. And thankfully,
I don't know why we're whispering.
we will. Well, it's reverence. It's reverence.
Reverence for the best.
And whenever there's a lot of reverence, whispering must occur. That is how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wasn't sure.
Extendo Beam unable to steal away the Grom. Is Canyon gonna have to get out of there? This is, yeah, D+ Keria well and truly on the ropes. Still, they have the ability to win team fights. That Infinity Edge that we were talking about is done, but no GA. None of these defensive tools that Deft will require as this game goes on, and already Canna taking so much damage on this Cassante. T1 looking to break open their next inhibitor in line, and this is the textbook way of winning the game. Just break down all the structures as Canyon dives on forward, looks for Zeus, but immediately he gets out of the CC. Now he just turns the battle onto the Sejuani. Deft going golden. I don't know whether it's going to be enough. Tempest's Revive doesn't do anything at all here as the Akali makes her way into the backline. Deft hiding back and does so beautifully. Gumayusi is now dead as Faker is fighting against Canna. Canna picks it up, finds the Q as well as Zeus is in trouble. Showmaker backflipping on top of the Jax, and Keria is just left to the wolves. T+ Keria, they do what I was just saying was impossible.
And now they're also going to deny the soul of T1. T1 won't be able. Surely it's just a single Drake, but these are the type of moments you can't afford against a team of D+ its caliber, as the amount of stopwatching going in this fight, absolutely beautiful, right? Canyon gets taken low, and then we do see they're trying to set up here for Deft, but as a result, both Showmaker and Kana get into the background, and the chaos that is created here is huge. Guma, sure, you pick up the Sejuani, but it is never worth it if it takes your life, as Deft is able to kite back successfully there, and then without the Lucian gone, so much of the damage no longer available here for T1, and they're still in a great spot. There's still 2 inhibitors down, but it is showing you that you know, the cornered polar bear is the most dangerous of all, and I don't even know what happens when you add an alpaca to the equation, as D+ Keria
that's
easily.
That's a menagerie that that should not be spoken about, I don't think. It's too mystical. You really can't go there. G8 now completed for Deft. One of the reasons why that fight was so good was A, Flash was up for Zeri. Definitely a very important thing, but B, the stopwatch to deny cease and desist was just so well done from Deft. He won't have the stopwatch in order to make that one happen, but you have to kill him twice now in these team fights. As still, remember, like, yes, D+ Keria, they got a Drake. It's like, whoop-de-doo, your base is still
they're
completely destroyed.
You're still in shambles. You're feeling a little better, and you see a possible avenue, but T1 also is a very smart team, so they will probably recognize this and say, well, we have complete map control, we have 2 inhibitors down, so we can just go for Baron. There was no reason whatsoever for them to take any big risks. Deft now also finished his GA. We do see Showmaker finishing the stopwatch as well. Elixir of Iron available for Canyon. I think he just did that as overall. Plus trying to hold on.
Yeah, Canyon was trying to find some sort of angle. As, with the Mikhails available here for Keria, you saw already that that engage that you were talking about, the Glacial Prison that has been so important, can just be mitigated from whichever target it connects on. Gumayusi standing forward, does need to be a bit careful, but isn't too worried as long as Keria is around. Glacial Prison will connect there as Oner going to be able to walk out of it just fine. No Mikhail's necessary, but heal was used from the Nami. And now the Baron is what everyone's worried about. Canyon going to get spotted out. Him alongside Deft are there as this Baron's getting taken down so quickly. They have to get in there. Gumayusi taken down relatively low. Canyon doesn't have ult though. As T1, they're going to teleport in. Showmaker finding himself some sort of flank. Doesn't get the backflip shuriken. Onto the Jax is now. D plus Kia gets some control of this pit. Canyon is extraordinarily low though. And Showmaker also sitting at half health does make it towards the Shroud as Canna. It's a big knockback. The Emperor's Divide this time is definitely a lot better. Deft is at full health though. Can he manage to get the kill? Counter-Strike is just too good. Deft trying to stay alive. The GA is going to put him down and he's not going to want to wake up at exactly that area. Kellen goes down as well. T1, yet another team fight, and this one means the game.
And we are going to a game number 3, Atlas, as with that attempt from K'Sante to try and salvage the fight, it looks close, but T1 decides